Welcome back to Game Critiquers, everybody. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a like underneath this video. It really helps when it performs in YouTube's algorithm. Today we're going to be talking about The Iron Giant. And there's no real reason why I'm doing the intro on this camera. Directed by Brad Bird.
Yes.
Who eventually went on to do The Incredibles. I think maybe Ratatouille. I know that
I think he was probably just in the team.
Yeah, I mean he's just a senior member of Pixar. So I think he also did Mission Impossible, like the one with Jeremy Renner.
When they started getting really good.
Yeah. Does he do more than one Mission Impossible?
It's only Ghost Protocol.
Yeah. So just a really insane career.
Yeah, and he's talented.
He's very good.
Yeah,
so.
For this type of film, I mean, it worked. Why didn't this film make it so big? It was just bad marketing. They didn't believe. They didn't believe in animation.
I think what it was is that from the documentary I watched, Warner Brothers wanted to move it up a year, but then Brad Bird actually just because he was so stressed, he just wanted it out.
Yeah.
So he kind of had a hand in.
Yeah.
I just thought it was it was a good story. It worked well. The animation was fantastic.
The animation was hand-drawn.
Yeah, it was old style hand-drawn, exactly,
and,
which is amazing.
I think the public missed the mark on this. I mean,
initially,
critic-wise and everything.
I think it's
initially.
made its money back.
1990. No, they didn't, right?
It's
No.
home theater or
50 mil to make, and I think they only box office 31.
32,
Yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about home video. I
Oh.
think that.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
now
afterwards,
it's become a cult classic.
Yeah.
Critics thought it was great. I mean, unfortunate.
I mean, everyone's career. Is amazing now. So.
Yeah. Especially Brad Bird,
Yeah.
who's maybe the most
Incredible.
successful guy out of the Pixar team.
This was what, late 90s?
99.
99.
You had Vin Diesel in it. I mean, he was just
Jennifer
Yeah,
Aniston.
coming.
just
Jennifer
becoming
Aniston.
pretty big, yeah.
Exactly.
Story-wise, everything was perfect. This was actually the perfect animated movie.
Exactly.
You know?
I watched it before I had kids, and I remember watching it. I remember being so excited, I wanted to show my kids this movie.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of liked it. I remember you got into it a little bit.
I remember
But he
watching
watched it. Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't get it when I was younger.
Well, you were into so many things that were probably ahead of you back then. I mean, you were into total Spider-Man. You got into Star Wars, but then you would watch, what was the vampire movie?
Like Van Helsing.
Van Helsing. You would, we had to watch that twice a week.
Even went back and watched the older serial
That's right.
Van Helsings.
Yeah, which were pretty cool.
The animation itself was great for the kids, the young kids.
Yeah.
You had this huge robot and the good and the bad, and it was kind of easy for young kids to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they added the Cold War
Yep.
into it, communism, the evil
Light
general,
cursing, dams, and things like that throughout the movie.
it was kind of like the adults that were watching it can associate with that part of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, story-wise, I think it was the perfect animation.
The source material, the Iron Man,
Yes.
Yeah.
Ted Hughes, is I think significantly darker.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
It was definitely a Cold War piece.
Yeah, I think the relationship between boy and robot is a little. It's not as sweet as it is in the movie.
Right, correct.
Yeah, but they had references definitely in that when he's going through the comic books to have him read stuff or read to him. The Iron Giant, there's the Red Menace is there and things like that. So there's some references to Cold War stuff.
The Superman one
Yeah.
pops out
Yeah.
Funnily enough, this is maybe the best Superman story of all time.
Yeah.
Iron Man, the book that it's
Yeah.
from, is actually a sad story. The reason why he wrote that was for his children, because his wife had committed suicide.
I said, I didn't know that.
And it was basically the story about no matter what happened to this Iron Man, he could always rebuild himself.
Yeah.
So I kind of think coming from that dark place to this family movie is just...
Well, I remember I had read something where Brad Bird had sent him either a copy of an early screening of it or a copy of the screenplay to Ted Hughes, and he very much enjoyed it, and he was really satisfied with their adaptation.
Yeah.
Well, originally, before Brad Bird was attached to this, it was going to be a musical, which I feel would have been...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that
would
would
have
worked.
stupid kids
I
thing.
saw it was going to be
jeez.
they had to like totally rework it because they didn't think they could make it into a feature-length film. They thought it was gonna be like a 20-minute like featurette.
Mm.
So
Like as a musical or like.
I don't know if it was as a musical or not, but probably along like that same line of production, like that
Mm.
timing.
The guy who designed like the Iron Giant went on to direct Captain America: First Avenger.
No,
Really?
Yeah.
Who is
Wow.
it? Do you know?
It's Joe Johnston, I think.
Mm.
Wow.
He also did that like Rocket Boy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed. It wasn't fantastic, but that was
I mean,
a
it's
good movie.
good superhero
Yeah.
movie. Maybe
Yeah.
we should watch that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is definitely one that we should put on the list.
Yeah.
So then the first scene, we see a guy stranded at sea or like just in trouble probably.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a fisherman trying to
Um,
come home in a storm.
Yeah, and then
Oddly, like really reminded me of the intro to, was it what, Indiana Jones 3? After he puts the hat on him and then it
Mhm.
transfers over to him on the boat.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh, yeah,
why.
yeah,
like
yeah,
it just
yeah.
like really made me think of that.
That's
yeah.
wild.
and then after like doing a distress call, he sees thinks he sees the lighthouse,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
then like just in a brilliant animation moment, it turns into two eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I forget. Does it just like smash cut
But-
to the kid?
Yeah, but even before that, you see it falling from
Well, yeah,
space.
that too.
And you really don't know where it's coming from now.
Right.
Did it come from another country? Did it come from outer space? And you don't know at that point either what it is or where it came from. So even as the audience, you're still like, okay, what is this? But I like the real opening when it's you see what Sputnik, I guess it is,
Mhm.
and
Forgot
it's
about that.
1957.
Well, even like
You
just
know.
in the intro, how it just like had the noise instead of like
Mhm.
regular Warner Brothers thing. I
Yeah.
love when
Yeah.
like intros are like
Wheel
that.
and
Mhm.
Stitch intros do that a lot. I've been
Well, even
watching
like
those.
Spider Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm shocked that
Yeah.
after seeing it for the first time and then like years later finding out that it was basically a dud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like shaking my head.
I mean, even like just a word of mouth. I'm surprised it didn't spread
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, I'm sure streaming wise or at the actually DVD wise sales for DVD, it had to make money.
Yeah.
I think it.
I just
does.
don't understand like how it can be such an economic failure
Right,
when
Yeah.
it is just like it's a masterpiece of a movie.
It is.
incredible.
It is.
I think this will like legitimately stand the test of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, 99 till now is what 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could still sit down and watch it and still understand it and still enjoy it as much as you did
Definitely.
the first time.
And,
Yeah.
and all the actors brought a great passion to their characters
Yep.
in it. I mean, it was really
Yeah.
good.
And like you said before, everyone associated with the original movie
Mhm.
became successful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is just like one of those rare. I'd almost want to call it lightning in a bottle, really,
Mhm.
because you have so many people where it's like nowadays, like to build that team, you wouldn't be able to do it.
right.
Probably right.
And then we see Hogarth
Hogue.
at the diner.
Never called Hogue.
You can call him Hogue. You might
Only
be
his friends
only
call him Hogue. Come on.
The only friend he ever had is a fucking robot.
You didn't call him Hogue. And then we see Hogarth at the diner where his mom works,
Yeah.
and he has a pet in a box that he tries to show to his mom. But the second he tries to show it, it escapes, which leads us to Dean.
Dean is not a character in the original story.
I mean, all the like four
yeah.
main characters are like the FBI or not FBI. It's like fucking Bup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
Dean and the mom and the kid aren't. So
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was only Dean and Kent Mansley.
no, none of them.
Hmm.
The giant is.
Nah.
But yeah, Dean defends the guy also.
Mm-hmm.
I just like how he's just such a good character, and just like how they represented him as just like not caring too much,
Mhm.
and just like kind of being nice.
hmm
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say for like good majority of the movie, he is just like a strong like neutral good force, and then like towards the end, I'd say like sides with the good team clearly, but it's a very interesting character to have in a movie like this where he's not necessarily like on anyone's side.
No.
For good majority of it.
And a lot of people look down at him, though.
Mm-hmm.
Even Hogarth's, I almost said Hogue. Hogarth's mom sort of looks down at him in the beginning, but obviously they have a chemistry towards the end there. And,
Yeah.
we see that develop even after.
Yeah, I'd say like that's the one thing this movie doesn't develop on well is like their relationship, but it doesn't really have to.
It didn't have
Yeah,
to.
so-
Yeah.
Don't really want it to.
Sometimes
either.
I don't like that in a movie where it's focused on that build. It takes
Yeah.
away from a lot of the story, and the story wasn't about that either.
Yeah, that's I think what
Yeah.
kind of makes it work is that
Mhm.
the story has nothing to do with that really.
No. It,
So-
it has to do with, I guess, hope and bringing people together instead of pushing them apart, and
I think
so it was a
the
light
main message
background
that I
story of
got
it.
from it more is like just being able to choose like who you are. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's kind of, I mean, they talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember, I think I saw something where, like, in the production meetings, they were talking about, like, literally, like, what if a gun had a soul? Like, what would that look
Mhm.
like? And that's kind of,
That's
they say
basically
that
what this is.
in
Yeah.
the movie. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a soul. The other thing is, it's supposed to be a child story, I guess, but they had the reference to, he's like that because of the beer and the whiskey. They threw that in there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a little above the level of just a child's movie. This is a story.
Yeah, a lot of underlying
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I had read that they said that basically the Iron Giant was anti-gun.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because
That
he
is
was
true.
capable
Yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
being the
Well,
destroyer, but
Yep.
chose not to be.
Brad Bird was like attached to the story because his sister was like killed by gun violence.
Same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So that was one,
Mhm.
underlying thing that I guess afterwards people noticed.
Yeah.
Like you said, the
Back in
religious
that's
part of it,
99, and that was, starting,
the don't judge
Yeah.
a book by its cover
yeah.
part of it. You
Mhm.
could have a guy that you may think is,
Mm-hmm.
a dirtbag or whatever, and winds up coming out on the good side. You
Yeah.
know. So there was a lot going on.
That, I mean, like, yeah, I feel like you can kind of get into the nitty gritty of like every little plot
Yeah.
point of this movie and
Yeah.
find something.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, if this was released today, I think it would like win Best Animated
Oh,
Picture.
absolutely.
probably
It
would.
should have.
I mean,
It's
Dean's
crazy.
character was really cool because on the outside, people just saw a junk man. But here he is. He's an artist, and he's just collecting this stuff for his material. This
Yeah.
is what he works with, And then, of course, now he has a giant coming there and eating him out of all his
Yeah.
materials. But,
You had the fear of the Cold War,
Yeah.
which was actually very true.
it was true then.
Yeah.
Everyone was always
Mhm.
being reminded that any day now someone could shoot an atomic
Well,
bomb.
yeah.
And
Sputnik was in the air,
Yeah.
and spying on other countries,
Mhm.
especially America. There was the threat of bomb.
I like
You
the one part when they're in the school and like the other kids are talking about what the meteor or what they think is a meteor is, and then
Mhm.
on the screen is like the how to hide under your desk in
Yeah.
case of the
So
bomb.
now I grew up and you grew up in
I
that
did.
era.
We
We
used to
had
have
Fallout.
air raid.
Yeah, we had Fallout air raid. Not tests.
You guys are so
Drills all
lucky
the
that
time,
they
and
didn't
you had to
fucking
go to the
bomb.
lowest section of the school and basically hide against the wall. Like that
Mhm.
was going to save us.
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
like,
it was
you guys. You did like.
who knew that?
Let's just say that like anywhere remotely close to you was bombed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And-
hide under your desk. You guys
Yeah.
are gone.
my little wooden desk is going to protect
Yeah.
me.
No, and that's
You guys
what
are
they were worried
becoming
about was
wood.
glass and such like that is what
Right,
they told
correct.
us. But if
The shockwave and
you were never going to survive it,
No.
you were
Although-
collateral damage.
fast forward now, you got active shooter drills.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which
So here we are. Yeah.
you
Which this movie will
there's
touch
still
on
an
stuff
element
like
of
that.
fear involved in just going to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of part of why this movie stands the test of time because like all the messages in it
Mm-hmm.
are just things that you could parallel to today.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Right.
The one thing that hit me, from living in today's world, and here it is, 1957. He gets news and he says, "Where's the nearest phone?"
mm,
That's
does
something we
date a
don't think
bit,
about
yeah,
today.
But
But it's a timepiece.
Yeah.
yeah.
But here, a man comes to her door and she just lets him in to use the phone.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny, I guess.
Yeah.
And then miraculously he buys their apartment.
Yeah, or rents
Yeah.
the apartment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just.
Also, just like another like old thing where
Mhm.
just like people would have extra rooms like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite smash cuts is Dean is like, who the hell are they gonna get? who are they gonna send down here? And then it just like cuts to
Yeah. Kent. Kemsley.
yeah, and just like I love like this movie is so efficient. Like they don't spend too much time like introducing Ken. Like he
Mhm.
just
You get him
shows
right
his
away.
thing,
Yeah.
fucking bup,
Right.
and then his car gets eaten.
Yeah.
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 But you know what the guy's all about right away. I mean, he came right on the scene, and you don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
You know he's just an a-hole.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was written beautifully.
It was.
And
'Cause also-
characters and
Because like he obviously doesn't want to be there because he doesn't see it as important.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
like, I guess he probably just wants like a good career, and like sees that the obvious thing to do is like hate anything that isn't American.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the second that he like sees that it's real, he's like on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he even says to the guy, he's like, well, the town guy says like something big must be happening here. He's like, no, I have to go back to the big thing.
Yeah.
And then like his car is eaten, and then he immediately comes back. He's like, something big is happening.
Yeah. A lot of like smash cuts in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even like the 30 minutes later thing.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that a lot.
Mhm.
But leading up to the 30 minutes thing, just like when the hand is in the house, first of all, just like hilarious moment where Hogarth throws the thing and
Oh.
then
That's a penny. He does a penny.
Yeah.
causes major disaster. After they see Kent in the door, they have to go upstairs after the hand goes up there and makes a noise, flushing the toilet, taking all the
Definitely
paper.
bathroom humor throughout
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
as well.
It's such like a strange representation of like what the relationship's supposed to be like. It's like kind of like like he's a little kid, but
Mhm.
also like a dog. I think it's more supposed to be like a dog,
Mm-hmm.
like a child, or like secretly has this pet,
Yeah.
because they kind of do foreshadow that with like the squirrel thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think though the original story, because I mean you're talking about how it's like made for his kids. I think
Right.
it's supposed to be more of like a father-son relationship almost with the like it's weird though because the kid is almost like the father
Oh,
of
right.
this giant robot.
And speaking of that, they never speak about his father, but in his bedroom there was a picture of a man that you assume would have been his father. Maybe he was.
went to the war.
Maybe he went to war. Maybe he,
Yeah, they
but
had
you don't
mentioned
know.
that.
Yeah.
The only right, he's never in the movie. Just a picture of him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he might have been dressed in the military.
That's right. It looked like it was military. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wondered maybe he was killed in a war or something like
Yeah.
that.
While Hogarth is like pushing the hand out of the window, you can see it's like showing Kent, and he's like in the window. You can see the hand's
hand.
doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but then just like such a smart thing, they have like piano doing like a tremolo because like
Yeah.
that's what it would do. Yeah, just I love details like that.
What happens a lot in animation, sometimes it gets a little far-fetched where, it goes outside the realm of real reality of what something would do. This movie didn't really do that. I mean, it showed things, but it didn't go outside of the scope of reality too much. So I like that in this movie as well.
What'd you think of his actual design? The Iron
The Iron-
Giant.
I
It
liked
was
it a lot.
amazing.
Now, I started looking into something on how that happened, and I never really finished the research on it. But
I think for the period that it was in, he's
Yeah.
supposed to be this advanced
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
But for the period it was in, it was perfect because he kind of almost did look like what people in the 50s would
Yeah,
assume.
that's
Yep.
It's very like Orson Wellesian.
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I think you hit it right, like nail on the head. Whereas this is what people in the 50s assumed
would
like
have
advanced
assumed. Right. It
technology
wasn't
looks
this.
like.
Because they could have made him any. They could have made
Yeah.
him. I mean, even in the 90s, they could have made him Star Wars-ish, or,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'd say the only thing I don't love about his design is when he goes into like
The full
mech mode almost,
Mhm.
with
Right.
all like the guns and like
Yeah.
weird stuff.
I disagree. I'd say that's like even just like now that's like one of the coolest like weapon designs and stuff.
I like the plasma energy thing. I think is
Mm-hmm.
cool. I just don't like the way it looks personally.
I loved it.
yeah,
I
this
think it's-
thing,
and even
he
just, like,
went full on nuclear.
The
Yeah.
thing where it's like twisting like this and just like doing
That's
that
pretty
Yeah.
cool,
was
yeah.
fucking like awesome. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I've never really seen that
yeah.
Mhm.
replicated really.
And again, that 50s look to it,
Mhm.
all of it,
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree with that. I'd say
See?
that's why I didn't love.
It had like
His,
a
like-
War of the Worlds look to it when he had those things, shooting around
Mhm.
on top. It is pretty,
I don't know.
To
To
me, it
me,
was pretty
it
50s.
looked a bit like of a contrast, like from the 50s-ish stuff. But I guess I see where you're coming from.
Mhm. I like.
I just even like how fast it like switches up like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, not a knock on the animation of it at all, but
I really
Yeah.
like it.
And
It's not for me.
hand-drawn.
Yeah,
yeah.
Wow, the number of hours.
that's probably had to be most of the budget.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
In
mean,
all honesty,
Don't see that too much anymore.
no, you don't, and it's just
The only
you can
thing-
see the difference though.
Like now, maybe like Spider-Verse, I think.
Mhm.
That's like putting that much time.
Yeah.
You guys saw Mutant Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
I didn't see
type of animation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That was right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still have to watch that.
So then they go to the junkyard where you can eat everything. I also love just how it cuts to like the morning after, and then like he has to teach him not to eat art,
Mhm.
Right.
and then
Yeah.
he like makes art.
Yep.
Yeah. And then like a few hours later, he's just like making some bouncing thing.
And he's teaching him how to, help him with the art and everything else. It was
Mhm.
pretty wild. And then he becomes a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Disney-ish, in that,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this is like this feels like a classic Disney movie in
Mhm.
almost every way.
Yeah.
And it's
But,
just,
like-
it's not.
And it's
It-
not.
like they were trying to make an anti-Disney movie.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
It I guess it does very much explain like why Brad Bird went on to be
Mhm.
pretty much like premier guy at Pixar.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this is like an all-time classic Disney movie that isn't made by Disney.
Yeah.
We get into the scene with the deer,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of puts in motion the idea of like guns kill. I don't want to be a
Yeah.
gun.
But not even that. It just shows, prior to that, the gentleness of this giant, that the deer wasn't spooked by him.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a twig and is off,
Yeah.
So that just shows he doesn't have to be a weapon.
Yeah.
So I just, this giant can go up and touch a little deer.
I also love like the foreshadowing of like, he goes to touch the deer and he says,
Mhm.
"Don't do that, it's dead."
Yeah.
And like now he knows what something looks, I
Mhm.
guess,
Right,
and feels
when
like
it's
when it's
dead,
dead. And then fast forward,
Yeah.
Hogarth's unconscious later on,
and he thinks,
and he thinks that he's dead.
and that's why he went into full
Yeah.
mech mode.
Wow. Yeah. You're right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was very touching. Like,
Yeah.
Even just like it is like hard to design like eyes and like a jaw, or
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
like stuff like that. Like a robot face is like hard to make look emotional.
Yeah.
I
And there's-
loved the eyes.
It almost looked like he was about to like cry.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, there
And
was
it was, like,
definitely a lot of
mostly
those
in the
emotional
eyes.
moments without words or sound in this movie for animation that really worked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I was brought to tears a little bit.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
choked up.
Yeah.
I got choked up
Mhm.
just 21 years later watching it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a tearjerker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's because story-wise, it just hits you
Yeah.
right in the right places
Mhm.
all over again. There's nothing that can ever
Yeah.
change that when you see something like that. So
Well, I guess there's also between writer and screenwriter, there's a connection there too, and I guess they brought it through in both their writings.
Yeah.
yeah,
So then Mansley like finds the picture in the camera roll,
Mhm.
and then he's finally able to get the
army.
Yeah, the army
Yeah.
over. Also, just like the scene where it's like the how long can we stay awake? It's just like
Mhm.
such
Mhm.
a good like little confrontation, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I even liked the interrogation scene
Mhm. Yeah.
where I guess Hogarth kind of gives up where the robot is, but I don't know if maybe Hogarth has this planned with Dean, or Dean kind of just comes up with this on his own. But then that leads to the army's there, and Kent, thinks he's won, and then they show the big robot, and it's like supposed to look like a big like art piece.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hogarth got
Yeah.
out of the house and went and warned Dean
Mhm.
because the pillow scene, the
Yeah,
helmet
yeah.
in bed,
Had that.
and he just walks past, morning.
Yeah,
So you knew he won.
You want to know what we missed? Also, the scene where the giant is having a dream.
That's what I was gonna.
Yeah,
I was
the
gonna bring
director's
that up.
cut
The dream
thing.
sequence, which was pretty wild. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So-
All the times I've seen this movie, I've never
You
seen
never
this. That was like an added.
well, it's the director's cut.
director's cut, and that's what we watched yesterday.
Did you watch that version when you watched? Do you know if you watched?
oh,
that
last
version?
night was the signature.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
signature
that-
one.
yeah.
That's what
That's
it's
the
called.
one, that's the
Signature one.
director's
Yeah.
cut.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a scene where Iron Giant is sleeping
In the junkyard.
in the junkyard, and he's having a dream, and
Kent
Dean-
is also, or Dean.
Dean is
yeah.
inside watching TV. The Jack Parr Show, which was a real television
Yeah.
show in the 50s. That's what later became The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And the TV's going a little fuzzy. The Iron Giant is dreaming. So you actually kind of figure out this giant was part of a another force,
Like a legion.
of
giants.
and they kill planets apparently. You know,
That
and
was
that's what
his
it was.
primary purpose.
Yeah.
That's what he's made for, or maybe they are a metal, breed of whatever.
I see why that
Yeah.
scene was cut from
Mhm.
like theatrical version.
So that's what they said from what I read, that it was just a little bit too harsh.
Yeah, but like
You know, but in today's
Great
world
scene.
of Marvel, this and that, that would be a perfect scene to have in.
yeah, I mean I think it's a great
You
scene
know,
and
yeah.
it gives you a bit of like
Yeah.
backstory to the giant.
But it's weird because Dean's falling asleep because it's the Tonight Show, and it starts showing up on the TV,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
What he's dreaming is transmitting to the TV. It was a pretty wild scene, and they did it well for animation. You
Yeah.
know, again, didn't go over the top.
Definitely added to that like Orson Welles
Most
feel.
certainly, definitely, I have to agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great scene.
Like it's just the way that like you can capture like the robots marching like that just like looked like, you know, the
Yeah.
way that it would look in like a 50s movie where everything's
But to also
practical.
make it look like a dream sequence, it was cutting back and forth from like black and white, darkness to brightness, and good and bad in what was going on in his life or his moment here now on Earth.
Yeah.
But now you had the feel this is from outer space, or another planet, another race, and it's not human
Yeah.
or
I mean,
human made.
just like cannot help but to like compare this to like a Smallville situation, Superman. It is just like so perfect with that story.
And more than once they reference Superman in it.
Yeah.
The comic book scene. Then he makes
I mean,
himself
he
Superman.
He, you know, his sacrifice. He
Yeah,
says that
the
he is
learning
Superman.
stuff I thought was fantastic, even early on with the cuckoo stuff, things like that. I thought that was great.
So you get the gist that he's not a programmed robot. It's not a software
No,
programming.
Nope.
That it's actually a robot that has a soul, like
Yeah.
you said, a gun with a soul.
and he's got a dent in his head, and he's lost his memory,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
full memory of what he is, what he does, and now he comes out as gentle.
Well, even just like dreaming, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
robots aren't
exactly.
really depicted as doing that.
And that's why I guess they had Hogarth bring up, or Hogarth bring up the fact you have a soul. you know?
Yeah.
So a soul never dies.
I agree, though. I can see why they deleted it, because I feel like it is like kind of like it's not very connected to anything else in the movie. Like doesn't really
Right.
influence anyone's decisions.
Yeah. I'd also say that just like a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
Like I know we talked about how this movie's not very well marketed, unfortunately, but just deleting that scene makes sense as far as like kids, probably.
And without it, it sort of still gives you the mystique of, is it from outer space? Is it human made as a weapon here on Earth? The whole movie all the way through, they all thought it was,
Russian.
Russian.
Yeah, China. or
Everything was
whatever.
about Sputnik. Everything, and then they mentioned
Communists.
China, and all that stuff throughout the whole movie. Even the little scene they had with the kids watching the movies in school, that was so well done, because that's what would have happened. These kids are talking about what's going on, hearing from their parents or what may be on the news, and Hogarth is in on it, and he gives a little bit, but not like, I know where this thing is.
Yeah.
But, he's trying to set the record straight, and nobody believes him, of course, because he's the outcast of all the kids.
Yeah.
But that was a nice little scene that like sort of linked things together, the feel of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I really do think that they nailed the Northeast feel of the people in that town. I mean, you really felt like it was,
Where did he fall? Was it
Maine.
It's Maine,
Maine.
yeah.
Maine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roxbury, Maine, something like that.
Yeah, but it was nice.
I think in the original book it takes place in London.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I wonder why they chose Maine.
Desolate.
Maybe
Yeah,
Brad
small-
Bird's from Maine.
Small
Yeah,
American
maybe
town.
it is.
Plenty of room to hide, right? Mountains,
Yeah.
Well, that was it.
Trees and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just like instead of like the 40s Superman, it's like moving it up a bit, makes it more like New York or just like Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
I like the swimming hole incident also.
Yeah.
When he does the cannonball.
And then Dean ends up in the middle of the road.
You're in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
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 Okay, then.
So then on the way out, it's like they're not even that far when Hogarth like plays where he's Ultimo,
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
gun, and then the giant goes berserk because he sees the weapon and does it in defense.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just like do you like how the like laser eyes look there?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Also, just like green laser eyes aren't that common,
Mhm.
but
Well, I mean, they're red, but then they shoot the green laser.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like he sees in red.
Yeah.
So the kids were on the tower, and then they had the binoculars, and then they saw the giant, and then they fell, and then the giant hears them, and then he picks them up, and then saves them.
And the town starts to realize, like,
Yeah. The town realizes he's good.
Yeah.
But then
Mhm.
Mansley sees the giant. Also,
Crash-
just like funny
gets into a
delivery.
fucking head-on collision and like, slammed from both sides. Would have been crushed.
Yeah, but just like funny delivery where like he barely gets it out.
Yeah.
'Cause it's,
That
like,
was a 1950s car. You weren't crushing that thing that easily. I mean, people got into an accident in those cars. You hosed the brains off the dashboard and put a for sale sign on the window.
I also like in that scene when the general turns to like, sweet mother of God.
Yeah.
That's like I feel like I quote that a lot just internally.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so somehow Mansley convinces them, basically, the Bupp army, or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck.
No, they were the real army.
yeah, they-
He worked for Bupp.
Yeah. So he convinces them, because everything up to this point that he's been telling them is that this robot is evil.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have no idea that he just saved these two kids.
Yeah.
So immediately they just go in and shoot him with like a tank.
mhm.
So,
After the scene in the tower, he's there. Hogarth is there because they caught up to him in the town. Hogarth is there, but then Hogarth is talking with him after he saved the kids, and then he gets shot from behind, and then he flees
With Hogarth.
with Hogarth, and they're
And
then they
fall
think
off.
they think I guess they killed him. They don't even know he has Hogarth at that moment. The mother tells them,
yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
No, it's
and then
Dean.
she races off.
Dean tells them.
Dean tells them,
And
that's right,
then-
and then they
And
race
then
off.
Mansley says he killed the kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the general.
He also like twisted the words when he was like
Mhm.
it attacks if you follows instead of
Mhm.
it only attacks if you attack it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it falls if you attack. I feel like my favorite like part of this whole movie is when he can fly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like it's also like replicated a lot. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I feel like the line of like "you can fly, you
Yeah.
can fly" like happens
Yeah.
like a
I don't
lot
think
in
he
other
knew he
stuff.
could fly. I think that was just something that came to him, that just like the weapons. He
Out
didn't
of
know he had the
necessity.
weapons.
Yeah.
Now the flying. Oh wow, I can fly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you do it earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I even feel like this might be getting ahead, but like the sacrifice ending, like with the
Mhm.
missile, is even something like in itself that gets replicated like very often.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the end of like the Nolan Batman,
Yeah.
just like brings like the nuke out to the ocean and kills himself. Like I mean, the Batman kills himself. Obviously, we know Bruce lives on,
Mhm.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
but yeah,
Right, flying up back into the hole with a
Mhm.
nuke.
yeah,
There's elements of classic storytelling in this,
Yeah.
except they kind of twisted it where, the Iron Giant's not the bad guy in the movie.
Mhm.
There is a bad guy, but it's not the guy who you would assume.
yeah. I even like how the general is just like not a bad guy.
Right.
No.
Because he's like, what are you, out of your mind, Mansley?
Yeah.
You scare me, Mansley.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love when he is like flying and then like gets a brief glimpse of like turning evil and then
Mhm.
decides not to. No. And then he just like jettisons backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the jets.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a good scene.
You choose who you are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then he crashes, and then that's when Hogarth is like passed out.
Mhm.
And that's, he thinks Hogarth dies.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right though. That is like a very good like callback and
Yeah.
it's like set up payoff.
Mhm.
And that's when he goes evil.
Starts
Does
Does he
destroying
really
it.
go evil, or is it more revenge?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just... I don't
I
even know if
can't-
I'd call it revenge. It's just, they're
has
messing with his
nothing else.
programming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I can't tell if he killed somebody because he did like disintegrate a tank,
Yeah.
Right.
and like
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be someone
People
in there?
in there,
exactly.
It's
Probably
1950.
Yeah, one tank you saw people get out of, but
Yeah.
one definitely got vaporized.
Yeah.
Also,
You
like
know.
like his weapons again just are fucking like amazing.
I'm
Just like-
I don't know why, but we missed this, and I'm thinking about it now. When they're in the scrapyard initially, and the
Mhm.
car won't like the car won't stop beeping.
Ah,
He
yeah.
just
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
He
launches it.
launches
Yeah.
it.
Tosses it.
Yeah.
Where did that sucker land?
Yeah, it's just like on the
Yeah.
other side of the scrapyard, I think.
No, I think it's like off
I
of
think
the
it
water
goes, like,
somewhere.
yeah,
I
like
think you can
trees.
see it fall.
So funny.
So, yeah.
He just launches it. Oh my god.
But even the whole train crash scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
a great scene too.
Because
Yeah.
it's like such
Put
a
'em back, put 'em
subversion where
back.
like it still crashes because he's in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's really trying to do the right thing. Like
But
line
see,
it
that
up
was
perfectly.
that was another one of those moments that had to pay off later because he was blown to pieces, but he came
Mhm.
back, and
Yeah.
that's what leads up to the whole thing of him in the
Yeah,
shed
final
behind the
piece
house,
and
and
everything. Then
Yeah.
too.
so that was the whole thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also just like the way that the missile ends up coming like towards everybody
Mhm.
is such like a great it's just set up so perfectly. Like instead of the army, they did it and I guess it
Mhm.
missed or whatever and it's
Yeah.
gonna hit the town. Like it's
So-
just
And that's a whole Cold War thing as well, because back in the day, those kids up on the tower, they did use kids to watch for air raids back in the day, and they had to mark off on, especially on the coast of California, it was a big thing, and they would, mark off their time that they were there, what they saw. They had to identify aircraft, and they knew all this stuff. So those kids up on the tower might not have had anything really to do with what was really going on with the Iron Giant. That was just what they were doing,
yeah.
and then they knew if there was
Probably like
something coming in,
happenstance.
just bend over and, kiss your ass goodbye because they knew they weren't going to survive it.
Yeah.
So it's,
I was gonna say also, just like Kent calling it in, regardless of like the orders of the general,
Mhm.
just like such like an evil.
Mhm.
Hi, criticus.
At any cost, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it really just adds like to his
Mhm.
just like evilness. And he's
Yeah.
like not evil as like super villain. He's just like a fucking dickhead.
Yeah. But,
And-
okay,
doing
so here's
anything-
the scene, though. If he really did that, I mean,
well,
what,
then he tries to drive away and he
Yeah.
crashes and they
the Iron Giant puts his
Arrest
hand
him.
there, and
yeah.
So, but court-martialed
Yeah.
or whatever, and you're done. And
I
it
also like just kind of a different type of callback. I don't know if he ever outright says that he's gonna fix the train, but then at the end he's like, "I fix,"
Mhm.
and he goes up and grabs the missile.
Yeah.
And gets blown to
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
smithereens.
go, you stay.
yeah, that's a great callback
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, how come this movie didn't make money?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's so good.
It is. It's
like you
just a
said,
great
even just
story.
by word of mouth, you figure the
Mhm.
few people that did go
Yeah,
Yeah.
would have said, "Hey, you got to go see this,"
Mhm.
but
yeah.
never happened.
I wonder if it was because it was animation so early on.
And well, that's what they were
Probably-
saying,
Yeah.
that the studios were reluctant because they said it's animation. Why, it's a kids movie. It's-
non-Disney
Yeah.
early animation.
There
Mhm.
was
And not even early
Yeah.
animation necessarily, but like I'd say before Disney's golden age
Right.
Mhm.
of animation.
they said that there was a movie released a year prior to this
Mhm.
that didn't do well.
Do you know what it was?
No, I forgot the name of it. I was
It
when I
like
was
some
looking
like
through.
dragon movie, I think, or something.
It was something
Yeah.
like a
Something
fantasy.
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and that didn't do well a year prior. So when they seen the numbers on this, they kind of just
Yeah.
don't worry about a sequel. You ain't
Yeah.
getting.
it is weird. There hasn't been a sequel though.
Yeah.
Like even like Incredibles 2 had one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what
Like a
we we're up to our
decade later.
third
I had heard
Incredibles
that
movie.
the director really wasn't
Yeah,
interested.
I guess that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
Well, Brad Bird's not interested
Yeah.
in it.
Which
Which
that
is
has
funny.
to be the only reason.
Yeah, because I mean, there has been Incredibles
Yeah.
sequels, and
Right.
he did those.
And they did
Well,
well.
even just like the ending, it is like
It
Mhm.
sets
Clear-
it.
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
don't think I need a sequel
No.
to this.
And what would you really do?
more Iron Giants, probably.
Yeah, it's
As
probably
protectors of
you'd probably have
the
to
realm?
tap into, more of them start coming to Earth. and he has to protect
us from them.
Yeah.
Like
And
Silver Surfer with
say that they
practice.
can make their own choices and be good too.
I mean, yeah.
and protect other planets in the solar system.
I've been
or
watching
something.
Lilo and Stitch, like all
Oh my God!
running through all those movies and the show, and like kind of would have to be like similar to that, where it's like
Yeah.
you just get more
Mhm.
Stitch type creatures and
Yeah.
have to convert them to being good.
You used to love.
Or you can just sit back
Lilo
and say, I
Stitch.
made the perfect movie.
Yeah, I mean
let's
that's where
move
I'm
on.
At.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at too.
Yeah,
So-
it could just stay where it is. I just wish that more people, and everybody you speak about it, they either didn't see it or they saw it and loved it, But I think a lot of people just didn't see it because
Yeah.
it wasn't marketed
Right.
Well, I feel like by now most people have probably seen it.
or know
mean,
of it.
That ending hit me like when I was, that's what,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of the movie that was nostalgic for me because
Most certainly.
I can compare it to other movies that I saw when I was younger,
Yeah.
like to Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you had this
Yeah.
character that you loved through most of the movie, and then at the end, it's like, what do you mean he's a puddle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
the
actually
hell?
like a great comparison.
Right? What'd you do to Frosty?
Yeah.
You know, but he'll be back again.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
You know, when the weather gets cold again next year. This is just the way things are.
Yeah.
But initially, I was like, Frosty. Oh,
Yeah. It is yeah. It's just such like a beautiful ending. You know, sacrificing himself for everybody, and then he's like, yeah, the general sent you this. You thought you should have the one piece that they found, and then it just calls right back to the fact that he's indestructible in one way or another, no matter how long it takes.
he'll be back.
Yeah.
But another callback too, because that was the last piece that came to him when he was hit by the train
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that is the last piece that goes in.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm also just realizing now that Wreck-It Ralph stole like the last scene pretty much, where it's like crashing into the Mentos. Yeah. It's like very much like into the missile. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this movie has definitely inspired just about anything else that's ever came after it, one
Yeah.
way or another.
Yeah,
Any
absolutely
superhero
great.
movie
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. And like we said in the beginning, casting-wise, was perfect.
Yeah.
I don't think there was much voice acting, back at that time, like you said, because animation was still kind of hit and miss for a major movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did well.
I look at it like, how did a Vin Diesel get this role? How did Jennifer Aniston? What were they doing prior to this that would have made them get these
99.
animation roles?
All right.
You know,
Vin Diesel's like kind of like nobody at that time.
that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
he
He was,
was-
Friends is HBO or like Warner Brothers, right?
I don't know what Friends was.
99?
And back in 99. So, I mean, yeah, that was
Friends
on.
is on, yeah.
Yeah, but
Vin Diesel, let's see.
Favorite scene? I'll go with the like whole flight scene.
I mean, I have to go with the ending where cuts to him just saying Superman and then blows up to sacrifice himself. It's really, I'll say it time and time again, just the best Superman story I've ever seen.
There are like some Superman comics that are like pretty close and like spiritually, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, I don't even have to wonder. Brad Bird clearly is just a huge Superman fan.
I wonder if like I kind of hope James Gunn like gets him to do like the second one or something.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
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 That would be good.
Favorite scene from you
favorite
guys?
scene, I don't know. It just, because it went by, those smash cuts and everything else. But I kind of liked the scene when he was trying to get the hand out of the house, that whole sequence of little scenes going together.
Yeah.
I thought it was that was fun.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Speaking of smash cuts, I like when the kid had espresso.
Oh, that
was-
convincing.
That was
Yeah.
another
and then
great
it's like 30
scene.
minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After he's like outside, just convincing for 30 minutes.
Yeah. You want to say your favorite scene, and then maybe we'll talk about, I guess, the family relationship between them a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite scene?
I don't know. One of the scenes that hit me was the "Don't touch the deer." It's dead.
Yeah.
Only because, like you said, when you brought it back later, he made that connection when Hogue was,
Only his friends call him Hogue.
which is very emotional.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that scene also is like a touch on the beginning of Bambi.
Bambi's mom.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
You know,
how could you
and-
not?
Yeah, yeah,
How could you not think back?
Yep.
Yeah, so it pulls at you,
yeah.
has its fair share of comedy, and makes you laugh. So, the perfectly well scripted, well acted, and well animated. I mean,
absolutely.
for hand drawn animation, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even just like noticing little details, like just like bugs in the corner.
Yeah.
Whenever they were outside. Also, just like how when he's about to like go out and find the giant, just like how the light scatters is amazing. Yeah.
It's like that's all like layer stuff too. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But even like there was like Wonder Bread was dropped in this, Twinkies were dropped in this.
Yeah.
You know,
Filling up the Twinkies too.
yeah, and he's filling up Twinkies with whipped cream. You know, it's just stuff like that. You know, using the Jack Parr show, that could have just been any late night television program, but they touched on real things. I'm certain they had to get the okay to do so.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing on something like that. You know, it's animation. They could have been whatever they wanted it to be.
Right.
What do you guys think about Dean's relationship with Hogarth?
You know, the way it progressed was actually pretty nice because here again, you know, Dean is just that guy who's the middle of the road, helps people, but he's misunderstood because people just see him as a beatnik in the day. You know, a guy who does nothing. He runs a junkyard. He's a lazy guy. You know, but he turns out to almost work up to be the father figure to him.
Well, yeah, I
you know,
thought
the right
that
and the
was
wrong, and
interesting
Yeah.
too. Like, because I always get the sense that Hogarth's like always trying to like impress him,
yeah,
which like it's almost like he like wants him to like be his friend.
yeah. Well,
it's like
he's
an
always
interesting-
searching for friends, and that's obvious from it's not a pet; it's a friend.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like an interesting transformation in my mind from like he's like trying to impress him to like be like cool to him, but then like that guy becomes his dad basically. Very interesting.
he had to be pretty young when his father was not on the scene.
Yeah,
You know, because here it is, Cold War. That's obvious. So if
We're
Dad
getting robbed
was
right now.
if Dad was killed in the war,
That's crazy.
that it had to be years earlier, and he was probably a baby.
Yeah.
But then again, that's just in my head.
That's kind of why I like the idea of like I made the one perfect movie, like you were saying, where it's like you can kind of pick stuff that you want to and finish the story where it's not 100% done in your own way, and everyone can have their own interpretation
Yeah.
of it.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like telling you about how like, and they should have like 2 Iron Giants.
Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that I think that's why not diving into the sequel sometimes is better
Yeah.
because it just leaves people with their own interpretations, what they would want to happen.
I don't think there's anything they can do in a sequel to make it
That
touch
would ever live
the
up.
real feel of this movie.
Yeah.
Because how do you keep this story together? Because it really wasn't a superhero movie. It was, I don't even know what to call.
I mean, again, in the same
but-
way that Smallville isn't really a superhero show.
yeah,
I feel like that's probably what most like superhero or Superman stories get wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's not about the superhero.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about
true.
the guy trying to, find his way in this new place.
I liked when the mom liked or was just like critiquing the art.
Yeah.
At the like when it was like, oh, all this looks slapped on. I like this one more. And then Dean was like, oh, you like that one? 'Cause that's probably like one of the more weirder ones.
Yeah.
I mean.
I also love at the end, like the fact that Dean made the statue.
yeah.
It's a good little
I do
detail.
wish it was a bit more like, not like it didn't. It kind of just looked like cast in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Instead of like made out of.
Well,
trash.
now he was getting hired by the town, dude.
Yeah, I guess. But still.
Yeah. Do we want to put ratings on this? I mean, I don't think this is even worth like rating. It's a classic. It's
It's a
I mean,
classic.
clearly a
But
10.
it's up there. It's got to be a 10 across the board.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't really think of too much wrong with it, but I feel like out of just like pure enjoyment, like probably a 9 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a tough critic.
I mean, yeah, I think if I really wanted to critique it, it'd probably be like a. If I really want to Cape critiquers it, it'd be like a 9.5, but I'll just call it a 10.
Okay.
For nostalgia factor.
I would give it a 10
I'm a
because I can
10.
forget about any
Yeah.
little problem that I could see in it.
I'd really have to nitpick.
Just for emotional value from beginning to end. You went the gamut,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I'm on 10. Straight across.
It's now confirmed. Punisher is back.
Yes.
John Bernthal Punisher will be appearing in Daredevil Born Again. He
Right.
posted a picture online of him on the set.
He looks good.
He does, yeah. The suit looks cool too.
Yeah. I feel like they probably like started with that first, and
Yeah.
that's why everything looks like so ultra practical now and just
Yeah.
like stupid.
Yeah.
But, like that's the only one it works for. I feel like.
It's the bullseye suit is so terrible. The Daredevil one's like not that good in my opinion. The Punisher one looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I
don't know. It'll be cool to see what happens with this superhero or anti-superhero registration act. They're going with that angle.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw some stuff about that. It also seems like they're gonna adapt some more modern Punisher comics where he, like the police think he is awesome, and then he kind of just tells them to fuck off. He's like, we're not the same. It's, I think a 2015 comic maybe. He rips up like the Punisher symbol that they put on their car. So yeah, it'll be cool.
So this is going to take place pre-snap,
Oh.
around Civil War.
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be.
I mean, you got to think that
Daredevil was snapped probably.
you got to think the end of Echo.
Okay,
Fisk is running for mayor.
that's right.
Or, I
And
mean,
he's
it's
going to start
implied.
the anti-hero. Yeah. Okay.
Because I mean, it's even if like there wasn't some leaks about it, I think it's pretty obvious it's leading up to that point because of the end of Echo, where it's like, clearly he's gonna run for mayor, and then the whole thing is like, how do we stop her? I guess the only way you can think to do that would be
Gotcha.
yeah. So I mean, ultimately, this will be the thing that ties Spider-Man to Daredevil and Kingpin, because he's out there in the city.
Yep.
So
And nobody knows him.
yeah, I wonder if we're gonna see him pop up in the show at all. Maybe even like a post-credit.
Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's gonna be tough to do
Yeah.
with the rights stuff, but I mean,
He should be.
yeah, I gotta imagine.
Sony's like just assholes though.
Yeah.
You know what it'll probably be like? They're probably gonna be able to get the rights like the way that Venom. Or no, Venom's a Sony movie though.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had a bargain for that to get him on the TV.
Yeah, because like I think there was like some news how the Sony Spider-Man deal works is like Sony cannot make a Spider-Man movie without Marvel Studios like
Permission.
involvement. Yeah, which is great, honestly. But yeah, I don't know if like that means they can't even have Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is for live action, by the way.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of
If I had
Spiders.
to guess, maybe he'll pop up on a TV again. But
I don't know
They
if how
get
that
Matt
added
Murdock
up to nothing.
and Peter Parker together.
well, what did you say?
How'd they get the Matt Murdock
With the brick?
With the
Yeah.
brick.
Well, that was because I guess Marvel.
Marvel,
yeah,
yeah.
gave 'em
Marvel
permission.
already had the movie going,
Yeah.
and they own Daredevil,
Yeah,
so they could just toss
they're
him in.
probably a lot more lenient with doing it reversed. So
Yeah.
Unless Sony just negotiates putting Madam Web and everything from now on,
Oh, goodness gracious.
so they can make some money.
it's so funny, like the Venom cameo added up to nothing,
Yeah.
except for just like
Yeah.
leaving a little bit of Venom
Yeah.
in the universe.
But then also like in Across the Spider-Verse, they go to the Venom universe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean it's the only thing they got really.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah. Onto the Silver Surfer, I guess.
Yeah.
So Silver Surfer was casted as a female. Instead of Norrin Rad, it is Shala Ball. Julia Garner is playing her. She was in Ozark.
Yeah.
Probably like the biggest thing she's in.
Yeah. Me and Jack were kind of talking about this the other day. I don't really care about like the gender swapping thing so much, especially with a character like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Silver Surfer is like surprisingly like obscure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it's something where it's like, it's not like Pikachu where like everyone knows it, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to at least know what Marvel is to like
Right.
know what
Yeah.
Silver Surfer is.
I don't mind the gender switch
Yeah.
either. She's an actual character, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
You
an
know,
Well,
alternate
yeah,
not like
universe.
she's
just
Norrin
making the
Radd's
Silver
love
Surfer.
interest.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, if this is gonna tie, because I had also read that the Fantastic Four is not gonna be part of the what are we
616. Yeah.
yeah.
I had seen that too.
616, that they're gonna be coming in with the X-Men possibly or whatever from a different, and you know. I
Yeah.
just want my classic Ben Grimm. You know, I don't want to have to be worried about will they here, will they not here, are they gonna go back?
Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, we're probably gonna maybe get like Future Foundation stuff, and then like build up to Secret Wars with Doom, like
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
run of comics.
I just feel like people are so up in arms about it, but like this character.
You're saying the Silver Surfer, as
yeah,
female.
but like this character never, like is like the sexuality has
Gender.
never
Yeah,
mattered.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
It's a fucking cosmic being.
Yeah.
Like
Correct. Yeah, it was never about who was that
Norrin Radd.
Norman.
Norman right.
Yeah.
It was never about him being Silver Surfer. It was just Silver Surfer. You know.
Yeah, it's more about like how he is like the one man, or
Oh, really?
One being.
he's the one man who was like in his just forget the pronouns we're using, but like in his civilization that like still cared about like being like wanting to progress and stuff, and like not just like decadence and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not about like it's not Silver Man, you know.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
Absolutely.
Also, like the fact that it's gonna be like some alternate universe, which is cool. I love that Marvel's doing
Also,
that.
just like confirmed that I guess Galactus is Fantastic Four's like villain.
Yeah, pretty much probably. Wonder if we'll see Doom too, or well, we'll get into the idea that you had too before we move on from this. But the fact that it's an alternate universe, like, who knows if we, maybe just see another Silver Surfer eventually too. Like, who knows?
So I had an idea where the first appearance of Doom, he's gonna die, and then it's gonna be revealed that it's a Doom bot, because just like would be a nice like subversion of like how to show him being powerful. I
Yeah.
guess because like they've done it so many times in the comics. too.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, we now know. I think was this confirmed earlier, but in Superman, the villain is gonna be Lex Luthor, and he's gonna make Ultraman. So,
Yeah.
which is like a evil Superman that Lex Luthor makes.
Originally, I saw someone say, like, imagine if James Gunn makes a Superman movie. He casted this guy as Superman, whatever his name is. And then, they go through the whole thing, and he just, like, fails terribly and fucks up. And then it's just, like, revealed at the end that he, like, turns into Bizarro.
That'd be fun.
Like, I mean, that would be, like, a great subversion of expectation. But I think the Ultraman is going to eventually just become Bizarro in this universe.
Maybe.
Kind of seems like what they're doing.
I do hope they have Bizarro though.
Bizarro's such a great character.
Yeah.
I always loved him when I was younger. I don't know why. He's just like fucked up Superman.
I'm not that familiar with him, but I know he's got the same powers or whatever. But what about intelligence-wise? Because I kind of always think he speaks like he's...
I think it's kind of... There's multiple versions of him, but the one that I'm most familiar with, he's just like a dumbass.
Yeah, right.
The other thing is,
Very cool.
this comic just sold for like $8.2 million or something.
Yeah.
Wow. A copy of this comic.
Good.
I
Yeah.
think that's pretty wild.
Wow.
You want to pull up the one that you had? I put behind you. I was telling you about this one. This is it's got to be Golden Age. It's 10 cents. Right? I don't know.
Well, Golden Age would be like 2 cents or something. Right?
Really?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Might be late Golden Age.
No, that's definitely Golden Age.
Yeah.
At 10 cents, yeah.
Where's 10 cents?
On the
Top
corner.
left.
We're just going to...
Pick the craziest character on your page.
How about we do? He looks pretty cool. Phalanx.
Okay, so Nikki picked Phalanx. Real name, not available. Alien being with the collective intelligence. Base, outer space. Height variable, weight variable, eyes unknown. Hair, none. First appearance, Uncanny X-Men 305, October 1993. Transforms sentient beings into techno-organic life forms and assimilates them into its collective. Superhumanly strong, also possesses ability to teleport and shapeshift, molding their limbs into weapons or mimicking the appearance of others. Yeah. Sentient biological weapons, the Phalanx are formidable adversaries. In space, another group of Phalanx threaten the Shi'ar Empire, but the X-Men foil the plans as well. The insane android Ultron subsequently led yet another breed of Phalanx against the Kree, nearly conquering them until several heroes and the Technarchy intervened.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you mean by several heroes in the Technarchy?
See Annihilation.
And I do have a good versus this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spawn and Ghost Rider.
I don't know enough about Spawn.
He's a being from hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I'd probably have to go with Ghost Rider.
Well,
What's Spawn's powers again? Just
He basically has the hellfire.
Yeah,
He's got
it's-
the chains
yeah.
that can come out
he's
of
got
him.
the chains
but he
too.
can't die, right?
But he
keeps
can't
getting
die.
revived.
Yeah.
Can Ghost Rider die?
No, Ghost Rider can't die either. Yeah, it's kind of a
Yeah.
hell,
The only
hell
reason I
versus
was
hell.
gonna give it to Ghost Rider is because of like the penance stare.
Right.
Mhm.
Correct. I would too. That's an unused power that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't realize.
I saw something recently one time where Ghost Rider tried to use the penance stare on Punisher, and it just like was really bright for Punisher. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Ghost Rider was like really disturbed.
Because there's no regret.
Yeah.
Punisher has no regret.
Yeah.
That's also like one of the things I was thinking of. If Punisher ever had like a story where like he regretted killing somebody, he would fucking kill himself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what happens at the end of Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. That's a weird one because like he just like grows up and he's like friends with Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And he has no idea that he's Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's a great story, though.
It is good. Yeah.
Like, it is the ultimate Punisher story.
Mm-hmm. All right. What does James think? James?
Oh, my son. My son.
Yeah, all right,
Worked
well,
hard.
It is
We'll do
Still
sad that he
sleeping.
couldn't be here
yeah.
because he was the most excited.
Sorry I couldn't be there for the podcast. Just growing up with the movie, I fell in love with it because what kid doesn't want a giant robot in their back, basically, as a friend? Like, to me, there was a connection because it's like a few years back, me and a couple of my friends started to build forts in the wood just for fun, just a stupid little project over COVID. And we actually enjoyed it. We fell in love with it. And that was something we do every day, basically. We'd wake up and run to the woods and just do whatever, just for fun. And we built this really, really cool fort that we go to all the time and just hang out and continue to build on and improve without anyone knowing it. Until one day we came back to the fort and it was destroyed. And we actually, one of my friends recorded it being destroyed by 2 bulldozers and 3 guys with chainsaws because some lady complained that she thought there was homeless people living in the woods. The way I related that situation to this movie a little bit was in the sense of this kid wasn't doing anything wrong. The robot, for that one asshole guy detective, I forget his name, I kept searching around to make sure that the robot was destroyed. I didn't understand it. Why would humans want to destroy something without even knowing what it is or trying to figure out what it is? The Iron Giant really didn't mean or didn't want to harm anybody. Yes, AJ said and Jack said previously, I heard, came from a planet where robots or giants like him were meant to go to planets and destroy. He chose not to destroy the planet. He wanted to just go there and make a friend, basically. I don't know. It did just kind of, for me, rewatching it again showed the darker aspect of humanity a little. We don't tend to ask questions. We don't want to be curious about something. Especially if we think it's a threat, we just decide to destroy it, and that's just the simple factor of human beings. Moving on from that, I loved Hogarth and his relationship with Dean, the junkyard man, the Iron Giant itself. It was just really interesting to see that dynamic between those two, the Iron Giant and Dean. Dean was almost like a father figure a little bit, more than halfway through the movie, especially when the Iron Giant targeted Hogarth when he pointed the rifle at him. That was really interesting too for me because he dove and pushed him out of the way. And again, Dean automatically thought that the Giant wanted to kill, which technically he did. For the sole factor of the Iron Giant was used to, or built to see weapons as a threat. So it was, I don't know, very, very cool. I also really enjoyed the animation and the graphic design for the Iron Giant and his movements. And even when he transformed into basically a weapon, when he thought that Hogarth dead. Speaking of, I also enjoyed seeing the Iron Giant react to the deer scene where the deer is dead and Hogarth is like, no, don't touch it, can't do it. That's what death. Interesting, very interesting. I also completely forgot, as a kid, I remembered the Iron Giant basically being destroyed and that was it. I did forget the little tad bit scene at the end where Hogarth gets a little piece from the general. That was part of the Iron Giant. And then it starts blinking in the middle of the night and starts moving towards Iceland, which is where he landed and he's just chilling. Well, that made me really happy. I completely forgot that he's actually still alive. Though I would love a sequel, like the director said, he said he wouldn't want one because it started and ended perfectly, the movie. I don't completely understand how a movie like this didn't become so popular. It actually did pretty bad for the box office for the time it came out. Still don't understand that. It was a perfectly good family movie. I'm glad it's become a cult classic and a lot of people still very much do enjoy it, such as me and, the whole podcast. All in all, my personal rating on the movie is gonna be a solid 9 out of 10 for the sole factor. It really did piss me off, especially when he pressed the button when the general told him, "Are you stupid? You're basically launching a whole missile towards right now because the Iron Giant is here." Really, really cool. I wish they would have done a lot more with that, such as strap him to the rocket and launch him to the moon. But anyway, that was my thoughts on the Iron Giant. Again, very good movie. Very, very 9 out of 10. Very good movie. I'll see you guys next episode.
All right, Incredibles.
Yeah, a giant came from space and brought him back.
Where?
To space. He's on their planet now. Thanks for watching, Cape Critiquers. That was our review of the Iron Giant. Next episode, we're going to jump into another Brad Bird classic with The Incredibles.
That's incredible.
Yay.
Yeah,
The best Fantastic Four movie.
Yay.
Yeah, kind of is in some ways a Fantastic Four movie. Not really though.
It is.
They're fantastic and there's
Fantastic
four.
Four family.
All right, thanks for watching, Game Seekers. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Bye.
Bye.
And after he moves, there's attack. Coincidence? I think not.
Bernie,
Don't Bernie me. This little rat is guilty.
you and your son can go now, Mrs. Power. I'm sorry for the trouble.
You're letting him go again? He's guilty. You can see it on his smug little face. Guilty, I say guilty.